A woman in uniform walked through the airport doors, her wings of steel resting in the cockpit. She had just landed safely. But instead of respect, she was met with cold eyes and dismissive voices. Airline staff told her to wait outside, as if she didn't belong, as if her years of skill meant nothing. They didn't know who she was or the power she carried. What unfolded next would shock every person in that terminal. What happens when prejudice collides with authority? Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Her name was Captain Renee Carter, one of the few black female pilots in a major airline's history. For years, she had worked her way up from flight school to co-pilot, and finally, to captain of international flights. Her reputation was flawless, her leadership admired by those who flew under her command. To most passengers, she was simply the calm, steady voice guiding them through turbulence. But to the airline, she was more than that. She was proof that barriers could be broken. On this particular day, Renee had just landed a transatlantic flight. The passengers disembarked smiling, thanking their crew. She stepped off last, as captains do, ensuring everything was in order. But as she approached the staff waiting outside, she felt something was wrong. The glances were sharper, the smiles forced. Something dark was about to unfold. At the terminal, a uniformed staff member blocked her path. "Excuse me, ma'am, you can't enter here. Please wait outside." The words were flat, rehearsed, as if she were just another traveler, not the pilot who had landed the very aircraft minutes ago. Renee raised an eyebrow, her ID badge gleaming against her chest. But instead of checking, they waved her off, ushering flight attendants through while leaving her behind. Passengers nearby watched, confused. Some whispered, recognizing her face from the cockpit announcement earlier, but the staff ignored them, treating her like an intruder. Minutes dragged on as Renee stood in the corner of the terminal, eyes following her every move, suspicion dripping from the air. She had seen this before. Microaggressions, subtle digs, quiet dismissals. But this was different. This was blatant. Her crew looked uneasy, sneaking glances at her, unsure what to say. One attendant tried to step in, but was silenced by a sharp look from the gate supervisor. It was as if the staff wanted to humiliate her publicly, stripping away her authority in front of strangers. The clock ticked. 7 minutes passed. Renee's patience thinned. She had worked too hard, bled too long to be treated like she didn't belong. What they didn't realize was that the person they were pushing aside wasn't just a pilot. She was the one with the power to decide their future. The supervisor finally barked, "Ma'am, please step away." That was it. Renee calmly reached into her briefcase, pulling out an embossed folder. Inside was a letter signed by the airline's board of directors. 7 minutes ago, she had been their captain, but in this moment, she was something else entirely. The newly appointed vice president of operations. Gasps spread through the terminal. The staff froze, their arrogance collapsing under the weight of reality. The woman they had dismissed now held the authority to fire them on the spot. Renee's eyes locked on each of them, her silence louder than any lecture. And with one decisive move, she exercised her power, removing the entire crew from duty. Prejudice had just met accountability. The stunned silence in that terminal wasn't just about the firings, it was about the message. Renee had not only defended her dignity, but she had shattered the illusion that prejudice could hide behind uniforms or job titles. Her actions rippled through the company, forcing difficult conversations about race, power, and respect. For Renee, it was never about revenge. It was about justice, about making sure no pilot, no worker, no person of color would ever endure that humiliation again. The airline rewrote policies, training, and accountability measures. But the lesson reached far beyond that building. Because in a world where racism often hides in plain sight, sometimes it takes just one moment, one person, to expose it. Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.